So at the first of the year, I like to reflect on the previous year and I like to do things embracing the next year. And as we're recording this, we're actually toward the end of January and it's never too late. I've had other podcasts, other blogs where I've talked about it's never too late to invite in a new year. So even though we're at towards the end of January as we record this, it is not too late to really look at releasing the previous years and embracing the next year. When I look at this, I actually wrote out it's called Mapping Out the New Year, Releasing 2024, Embracing 2025. And I have it for you. I'm going to put a link in the notes for you to get it if you'd like, because it's really a great format to walk through and to write down. What I like to do is look at these questions and then think about them for my life. What do I want to how to really embrace, like, what I need to release and what I need to bring in. And I think the starting spot is looking at the previous year. It's hard to move into the next year if we still have some lingering thoughts. And that's where I think what I like to do is actually go through my journal. I go through my calendar to really look at what the previous year was all about. And the first thing that we do is we release 2024. The areas I like to go through is self, physical, family, friends, work, education, creative, and spiritual. And on the paper that you can get is I would just write each of those down. So we're going to walk through this so you can get a better idea of what those areas mean. And the first question is, what was a positive this last year? What were the goals? So it's last year. What were the goals accomplished? And so what were the goals accomplished in the terms of yourself, in terms of physical, family, friends, work, education, creative, and spiritual? Some of the things I put on mine are physical. I all last year, I went to yoga. I talk about this a lot in my podcast, my blogs, in my coaching classes, my clients. I focused on yoga for the year, and that was really for me a physical way to be centered and to focus on my strength. The other thing I did, and this connects to family and to physical, is my husband and I started hiking pretty weekly. Most weeks we would hike pretty hard hikes, up and down hills, through mountains, up rocks, down rocks. It was really a lot. And it was really good for us because we really get a time. I think this is the place where couples can really talk about really important things, and we would talk about life and what we want and what's working and what's not working, and we do that when we are hiking. So you're hiking, it's a physical activity, but it's also bonding us together and our commitment to each other. What else did I do? Oh, friends. I gathered in new groups with friends. I joined with new people. I met new people and really developed new and deeper friendships. In terms of my creative, I could do better. I think I want to do better. One of the things I did do that I defined as creative is I read more books. I felt really good about that. I felt positive about reading more books, and actually one of the ways I got more friends is I joined a book club, and we read books, we talk about them, and we join together once a month. The other area is spiritual. And one of the things I did spiritually is I did more yoga. And for me, yoga gets me in touch with my breath, gets me in touch with my inner knowing and my inner wisdom. And I really like that. So, those were some of the things that I did. I encourage you to look at what you accomplished in 2024. It's part about the releasing the previous year to pull in the new year, to really release out the old, to embrace in the new, right? And the next area in mapping out the new year, we want to talk about what was difficult last year. What was difficult in 2024 for you? Once again, I go through my journal and I really reflect back on what was difficult last year in terms of self, physical, family, friends, work, creative and spiritual, home, finances. What was difficult last year, and what what does that mean for you? What does that mean for you? I spent a lot of time in terms of self last year. I really looked at my negative thoughts and where things were showing up really negative for me. And I spent a lot of time on that. And that was really difficult. It was really some difficult, deep exploration that I did that I think has made me a better person. But dang, it's hard to do. What was difficult physically? I gotta say, hiking those hills and mountains with my husband, he's better at it than I am. He goes faster than I do. He can climb better than me, and I couldn't always keep up. And it was physically difficult. I remember one day where it was super hot. We had just done a really, really hard hike, and I wasn't sure I could make it back. I was so hot. I was so uncomfortable. It was probably close to 100 degrees, and we were out in the open mountains hiking, and it was really hard. I look back and go, dang, that was difficult. And when I look back and see how difficult it was, it makes me wonder, like, so is that what I want to do? Is there a different way to work it? Obviously, one of the things about how difficult that was don't hike when it's so hot, and call it earlier, because that was really hard. What else was difficult in terms of family? My mom made her transition. It was difficult watching that happen. It was good because it was a beautiful experience, but dang, it was hard, and that was difficult. There are lots of things that were difficult that I'm not going to go into all of them, but it's more my personal reflection on what was difficult, because then I can honor what was really hard and then use that as a template to move into what I want to do this year. So in 2024, what were lessons learned? What did you get out of it? Um, Self, physical, family, friends, work, education, creative, spiritual, home, money, and finances. What are some lessons learned? Um, and and really dig deep into that. You don't have to answer all of those areas. What are there? Nine. I think there's not one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. There are nine areas I'm talking about. You don't need to look at all of them, but if there's one you're wanting to avoid, that might be the one you really need to spend some time with. But what did you learn from last year? I cannot believe that you went through a full 365 days and not coming out with something really valuable for yourself, something valuable in terms of what you learned. I talked about self. I learned a lot about my negative thoughts and what they mean for me, and what I want to do about it, because it became hard, and I learned more about lesson. What the lesson was, I wanted to spend more time in quiet contemplation, more time in meditation, more time in prayer, more time in just being quiet. And that was a big lesson that I learned. I also learned that the quiet in terms of reading, that was really valuable to me, like getting back into reading novels and stories and being engrossed in another story that's vivid and very interesting. Um, Lessons learned were a lot of them, and they're very, once again, they're very personal. You don't have to share your lessons with other people. It's really for yourself. It's really for yourself to see and evaluate, what can I get out of what's been happening in my life, and what can I learn for myself. I don't think anything happens random, and there is an opportunity for you to get something out of it. Another area for ending the new year is gratitude. I know some people will start their new year with their gratitude list. What in the last year are you grateful for? Self, physical, family, friends, work, education, creative, spiritual, home, money. What are things you're grateful for? I hope you can find a long list for that. I hope that you really look at that and see, what am I grateful for? I could go through each of these. For myself, I'm grateful that I'm physically able to do the things I want to do. That makes me feel really good. Um, that's more the physical. The self is, I'm grateful that I am seeking more to be present with myself. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful that I got to spend time with my mom as she neared her end of life. I'm my family. I'm grateful for my daughter and my husband who are here 100% and supportive. Friends, all the people that are new that I've met, but there are so many people that I've known for a very long time and I value how they show up in my life, and the history that we've had is super valuable to me, and I want to honor that. Work, my business, I'm so happy for the clients that I get to work with, the psychotherapy that I get to perform. The areas that I'm learning about in terms of my work are so valuable to me and make me feel really good. The creative side, my gratitude, like I said, being able to read books. I love being creative in my house and really embracing beauty and making a home that feels good. I love in creative. I love to set a beautiful table. We had some friends over um, a few weeks ago, and just creating a beautiful table with a tablecloth and the napkins and the silverware and just making it look pretty is a creative endeavor for me. Another creative endeavor that I've done, actually, I'm going to embrace more this year, is cooking. I think for me, cooking is very creative. Gratitude around spiritual. I am so happy with my spiritual progress and that I've made a commitment to really get to know who I am, what I value, and that's really important to me that that outpictures in my life. Home, I talked about creating a home that feels warm and inviting. That's important to me. Money and finances, I feel grateful that we have enough money to pay our bills. That makes me feel really good. And lastly, what we do for the year prior is, what are we going to let go of? What do you want to let go of? What isn't serving you in terms of self, physical, family, friends, work, creative, spiritual, home, money, finances? What do you want to let go of? What's not working? Because when we can let go, when we can look at, what do I want to let go of? And there are lots of processes to let go of whatever is not working. And we're really not going to spend time on that here. We'll probably do that on a different podcast, is how do we let go of what's not working? Because when you can let go, it creates a space for inviting more in, more newness into your life. And this is really important. Um, so what are you going to let go of? What are you going to let go of? For me, it's many things, and I like to write all of this down so I can reflect on it later and come back to it and see, am I really doing it? The things that I want to let go of, did I pull it back in? Did I take it back in for myself? And if the answer is yes, then I want to look at that, because that can help me. It's, I think it's really important to write down all of these things about the previous year to really get clear on what works and what doesn't. When it's written down, it takes it out of your head. It gives you a moment to just kind of brain dump, what was that year about and what does it mean to you? And I know that sometimes it can be the previous year was horrible, horrible. I've had plenty of years where it's like, I am glad to shut the door on that year. I didn't find anything valuable. Well, once I go do this process, which I've been doing yearly for lots and lots of years, when I go back and do this process, when I talk about what I'm grateful for, that helps me remember the things that worked really well. When I look at what did I accomplish, what was positive about the year, then it reminds me like, oh, maybe it wasn't such a bad year. There might have been plenty of things that I don't like, but I can go, there were these good things. And what's nice about knowing then what are the good things and then what are the not so good things, then how do I want to make this new year feel different? And that I find is the positive aspect of this process of letting go the previous year is then you can then imagine, well, what do I want this year to be? And that's what we're moving into. What do I want to invite in? Right now, we're into 2025. And I've heard a lot of people say that they're excited about this year for lots of different reasons. And I want to know what you're excited about. So we're going to walk through the process that I have for inviting in the next year. The first thing I like to do, and I learned about this, I don't know how many years ago, but I thought it was kind of fun, is to come up with some word. Actually, I met a friend who told me she does a phrase of the year. Like, oh, that's a great idea. I like that. But I'm going to stick with the word. I've had some years where I do 1 year, some there were two words, and sometimes there are three words. I'm just going to say a word for the year. And what's interesting for me is this is a process I usually engage in December, early January. Like, what do I want to embrace for myself? What word? And last year, it was fascinating to me. Year, the word of the year was no. No. And I remember telling people at the beginning of the year, they said, what are you going to embrace? I go, I'm embracing the no. No to this, no to that, no to this. It was a lot more about I'm not going to do these things anymore. And in reflection from the year prior, like there was too many things I was doing for other people that really didn't serve me and I didn't want. And I was going to practice doing more no's than I was going to say yes. And that was really good because it really helped me increase boundaries and where it's just no, 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 no. And I love that, and it makes me, feel happy that I did that because it worked really well. So when I went into 2025, what am I gonna do this year? What is my word? And it wasn't coming to me, and then the word came to me, yes. And this year is when it's a yes, it's a heck yes. And we are going to have a podcast on that on the Feed Your Soul with Kim podcast. We're going to talk about yes, when we're going to embrace a yes. When's it a yes? Because what I've realized this year is like, I want to have a heck yes. Heck yes. I'm all in. And what I've been telling people at the start of this year is that if I tell you yes, I'm going somewhere, it's because it's a heck yes. I really want to do it. So my word is yes. I'm embracing yes for the things that are a heck yes for me. The other thing I want to do in 2025, and I invite you to do it too, is how do you want to feel this year? What do you want to feel? For me, it's joy and peace. And I've had those two feelings that I want for a few years now. I want joy and I want peace. I want joy and I want peace. I'll often ask myself, is this going to lead to joy? Is this going to lead to peace? If it's a no, then I don't go in that direction. If it's a yes, then that would be more likely what I do. So I want to feel and lean more into joy and peace. Another question I ask is, what do I want to experience or accomplish this year? And then we go through all those 9 categories: self, physical, family, friends, work, creative, spiritual, home, money, finances. What do you want to experience or accomplish? And this is very personal. You don't have to share this with everybody else. The things I'm sharing with you are the things that I've shared with lots of people. So it's not the really personal things because there are plenty of personal things I'm doing that are private to me. I don't want to share, and it's for me and myself to do. But what do you want to experience or accomplish this year? And I'm looking at mine. I am looking more into where I want to have more of a spiritual home. and really embracing that again. Where spiritually do I want to land? I'll continue with yoga this year. That's my physical. And I want to accomplish more yoga positions. That's actually a big goal for me. Is I have yoga instructors who do these positions. I go, what? And I actually say it out loud, and I everybody laughs. I go, what? When they do a position I've never seen before, and like I'm always game to try it, but I'd like to be more proficient at more yoga positions. I also want to embrace more friend time. I have been doing more friend time, and when I go out with a friend, it's because it's a heck yes. I really want to spend time with you. I really want to talk to you. Other things I want to embrace this year is more creative. I actually asked for Christmas some cookbooks because I find cooking is a very creative thing. I um, have some sourdough starter, and I've been making sourdough bread, and I want to do that some more and use some different recipes and some other things creatively around food is what I want to do. So those are some of the things that I want to experience or accomplish. There are some hikes that my husband and I want to do. So that's physical and family that were that, two couple of categories. I like to look at all these categories and go, what would I want to accomplish in each of them? Because it makes me think out of the box. It makes me think beyond what's kind of first straight up in my head. And so I encourage you to embrace, what do you want to experience or accomplish this year? One of the ways to do it is to meditate, just go into the quiet space, close your eyes, get quiet, and a journal. Just do a journal on, what would you like to do? What would I like to accomplish? How would I like to be? Where can I see myself going? And just really think full out. Think full out. Like, what could I do? If it's a longer term goals, then what are the steps that I could do to get there? And just really embrace that. I'm I'm pretty excited about that. I have a lot of things this year that I want to accomplish that are very personal, that will make me feel good. What I think sometimes when we look at these goals to accomplish, often it's about work, business, work. What am I going to do? And I'm saying, let's go beyond that and even invite your family to engage in this process. What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to experience this year? I'll do that with my family when we talk about vacation. What do you want to experience this year? What are we in to do and experience with each other? And I find that pretty fun. The last thing that I want to talk about that I think can be overwhelming to people, and I want to really put it out as a super fun idea, is to write down 100 things I want to do in 25. What are 100 things you want to do in 2025? I like it because I have a whole list of them and I add to them. And some of them are business related, some of them are personal, family, places I want to go, people I want to see, money I want to make, car I want to have, all the things. And I write them down. I have a list in the mapping out the new year, the PDF that you can have access to in the link. You just start writing down what you want. What I find is interesting is that when it's on my list, I know it. Oh my gosh. On my 100 list for 4 years was, I wanted to go to England. I wanted to see Stonehenge. I wanted to go to France. It was on probably for 4 years on my 100 list. I couldn't cross it off. It just didn't happen. Lots of different reasons. It didn't happen. Last year, it happened. And I got to cross it off my list. It was so exciting to go do it. And it really was in the forefront of my mind because it was on my 100 list. If it's on my 100 list, it means it's important. There have been bands that I put on my 100 list. There have been things I want to do that have been on my 100 list, things I want to accomplish. And sometimes they sit there for a while and I cross off the ones that I've done. Sometimes when I do, I'm going to redo my list for this year for 2025. And it could be I let go of some of the ones I've had on my list from last year that it just doesn't fit anymore. You can just release them. If they don't fit anymore, you don't have to do it. And it becomes an opportunity to really look at what are my great desires. I put down on my list is some cities I want to go to, and I put down a hotel I want to stay at because it sounds like a really fun hotel. So that's what I have. I have Disney World's on my list. So it's been there for a while and we just haven't been able to go, and it actually might happen this year. But it's when it's on my list, it becomes on the front of my mind. And it's been fun. I go back on my list to just see, have I been doing things? If I want to increase my joy in my life, I look at that list to see what is it I've wanted to do and how could I embrace that and how could I do that moving into the future. There's a lot of things with mapping out the new year that's super fun and super enjoyable. And you get to do it in the way that you want to do. You get to do it in the way that you want to do. Fill out the parts that work for you and let go of the parts that don't work for you. Make it your top 25 list. I don't care. I like my 100 list because it makes me think really creatively, because that's well out of the box of what I've even thought I could accomplish or what I might want to do or have or be. So I encourage you to really embrace this new year. It's a really fun time to look at something different. I know in 2025, there's a lot of external things going on that we don't necessarily have control over. This is your personal place to look at what you can accomplish, be, do, have. And I'm so excited. I would love for you to send me an email, info at feedyoursoulunlimited.com, and let me know what is it you're doing. Go to my podcast, Feed Your Soul with Kim, and let me know what you're doing. I want to hear. I want to hear all the things because I'm excited for this year. I'm excited for what it holds, and I'm excited to start moving forward. And part of my way of doing it is writing it down so that it is front and center for me. So I encourage you to do that. I hope that this was valuable to you and that you try some of it. Download the PDF of mapping out the new year, because that will help you get started and not have to recreate all the things that I've done. Thank you. I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.